afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this afternoon's concert. How about that? We have lights show this afternoon. Last year we had cannons, today it's a light show. Who knows what we'll do next year? Fireworks, perhaps. We're really thankful that you're here with us today for this, the 40th celebration of the Alumni, Mount Healthy Alumni Band, 40 years. Now, you know, I reminded Russ that I remember the first one. We played in the courtyard over at the other school over there, and he assured me that he remembers each and every one of them, and all the concerts in Europe as well, right, Russ? Correct? Yeah, that's what he told me. And so we're really, really grateful to be back together again. Many of us have been there the whole 40 years, you know, and so it's really great. And many are here for the first time today, and we're going to have them introduce them a little bit. My name is Bob Gray, and I'm going to kind of lead you through the program a little bit today. And of course, you recognize that first march, the Mount Healthy March, written by Gus Beans, or actually Henry Fillmore, who was an icon of music 100 or so years ago here in Cincinnati. Put Cincinnati on the map with his performance, his entertaining, and just did it all. Great performer and a great composer, and he wrote that march. Russ, I asked him, I kind of accused him, I said, did you encourage Henry Fillmore to write this? And he declined to answer that, actually, but Henry was with us from 1881 to 1956, actually, and some of us can remember 1956. So the great Mount Healthy March by Henry Fillmore. Henry came back to town here and made the Syrian Shrine Band one of the great bands in the country, and did a lot of arranging, and he arranged this next piece that we're going to play for you. Franz von Suppe's Light Cavalry Overture, written in 1884. It was written as an overture for an operetta that von Suppe wrote. The operetta is never performed, but the overture is. I bet you'll recognize it. Here's the Light Cavalry Overture. Well, thank you very much for your kind applause, ladies and gentlemen. We are glad you liked that. What about this band? What do you think? Is this the best band? It's really amazing. I mean, I didn't count how many people, but we've had people here Friday night and yesterday and again today. You see the crowd that's gathered here on the stage, and we're really, really pleased to have this many people and to have them performing at this level. And you're going, how can they do this? I mean, they get together once a year. How do they pull this off? And I have to be really honest with you, there are some people in the band who have had their instruments out since last year's concert. And at this point in time, I'd like to recognize those two people. Okay, we'll just keep that between us. But actually, I think it's really awesome that we have this many people, and obviously who have this skill and are willing to come and play and give their time and effort to this weekend to be here and be a part of this. I think it probably goes back to the training that they had someplace along the line in the last 40 years, that they're willing to commit this effort to this effort and be here and play at the level that you hear. I think it's pretty awesome, all right? So I hope you appreciate that as well. I'm going to tell you about our next piece. We're going to have a soloist. And it's a great privilege to introduce my good friend Steve Hook to play this piece. Steve and I go back to, we told him yesterday, I told people here, I said I think we first played together in 1960 up in the Hunt Building with Mr. Westridge, if those of you may remember him. And Steve was we were really lucky to have that guy come along when he did, and I think Russell did a great job recruiting him to come here, actually. But Steve was a child prodigy. I remember sitting in 7th and 8th grade band, and they brought Steve in on the trombone from Duval as a 6th grader to play and help out the band there. As a 6th grader, he was playing in the 7th and 8th grade band. As a 7th grader, he played this solo, and he swears this is the last time he played it, which would have been 1961 or 2, maybe. The last time he played it as a 7th grader with a high school band, okay? It's a great piece by Herbert L. Clark. Herbert L. Clark was a great cornet soloist going back 100 years ago. As a matter of fact, in 1900 he wrote this piece when he was cornet soloist with the great John Philip Sousa band, and a marvelous composer and entertainer. And so is my friend Steve Hook. So we welcome him to the stage. He's going to play Bride of the Waves. Steve Hook, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome performance. And how about this band? What do you think? Stand up, baby. Well, I'll tell you what, it's really nice to have lifelong friends who play as well as that guy. And besides that, don't tell anybody, but he's a really nice person as well, okay? I want to give you the next piece here, and You look like Nathan Hale on that fatal day, my friend. The next piece we'd like to play for you today is called the Nathan Hale Trilogy, and of course it relates events from the Revolutionary War hero Nathan Hale, who was doing some undercover espionage for the Continental Army, was captured in New York City and hanged. And at least that's the way I learned it from Jim Bayless. Did anybody else learn it that way? Actually, I won't tell you how he said it exactly, but anyway. He was executed. But at any rate, we're going to play a couple movements from this nice little suite written by James Curnow, who teaches down at Asbury College in Kentucky. And we are privileged to be the guest here again this year. This is a beautiful facility. And due to the efforts of Jason McElroy, the band director here, he's going to be starting his 13th year. I've talked to all the kids that he recruited to come in and play this weekend. We're really grateful for that. And you know, if they are an example of what he does here, then he's doing an awesome job. So we're grateful to Jason for his 12 years commitment. And here he is.
I just want to say it's a pleasure to play with the Alumni Band every year. There's such great supporters of all the music here at Mount Healthy. And we thank everybody in the audience, too, for all your support here at Mount Healthy. And I'd like to say a personal thank you to my friend and colleague, Mark Montero. He's going to be starting his 5th year here at Mount Healthy, and I for sure couldn't do anything without him and his leadership. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Jason. Great job. And a nice piece of music, and we enjoyed having you here again. Jason graduated in 2001, he tells me. At least that's what he'll admit. 2001, yes? Yes. And attended Ohio Wesleyan University. We were going to play a nice song for you next, kind of a ballad. Actually, it's kind of a hymn tune, if you will. It's a contemporary piece. It's kind of I think, kind of a contemporary psalm, if you will, almost. I played the piece and I didn't look at the words. It has words, actually, and I could sing some for you, but the band suggested not, so I won't do that. But it's called Share My Yoke, and it's a song of kind of hope and inspiration. And my good friend Steve's going to come out and conduct it, I think. Are you still here? Okay, yeah, all right. So here's Share My Yoke.
It's only fair that I talk about Bob a little bit. Yes, we did start playing together in 1960. But what he didn't know was, I mean, he was always older than I am. So he was always my idol. And he got the drive first. You can ask him about his red Studebaker lark. And he taught me about the fix and stick, which I will not explain right now. But Bob always played most of these solos that I played before I played them, so I always had him to look up to. And so today is no exception. And Bob and I, like I said, have been playing together in different organizations and quintets and brass bands and concert bands since then, since he got out of the Navy and I came back into Cincinnati. So it's been a blessing to know he and his wife. They've been good friends for many, many years. So this is Bob Gray playing Share My Yoke.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Craig's going to talk.
I want to talk. Yeah. Everybody having a good time? Yeah. Try this again. Everybody having a good time? Isn't this a great band? 2 rehearsals and it sounds like this. Mr. Hinkle, you're sitting too much. Would you come up here for a minute, please? We're going to get you a stool for you. Yeah, I know this is really kind of a wonderful experience for me. You know, everybody's talking about 1960. 1960 is when Mr. Hinkle came to Mount Healthy. So not only is this a 40-year anniversary of the Alumni Band, this is 58 years of music for Mount Healthy from Mr. Hinkle. Give him a hand. Of course, one of my first memories of Mr. Hinkle is him starting me on clarinet 58 years ago in the furnace room at Matthew Duvall. We've come a long way since the furnace room. So happy to be here in the Russell Hinkle Auditorium today. But you know what? We're going to recognize Mr. Hinkle for all his years worth of work, especially the 40th anniversary, and I'm going to bring up to the stage the mayor of Mount Healthy, Mr. Jamie Wolf. Give us a couple of words to say to Mr. Hinkle. Jamie, take it away.
Thank you all for coming out here again. This is wonderful. When I was asked to say a few things, I talked to Ms. Harness actually, and we were looking at a way to honor Mr. Hinkle, and we thought about a proclamation. That's typically what mayors do. Unfortunately, that's been done, I think, a few times for Mr. Hinkle. So then we moved on, and we looked at the idea of doing a key to the city. Again, a little bigger honor we can do. And we find out that's already been done as well. So maybe we can name something. Well, here we are in the Russell Hinkle Auditorium. So honestly, I don't think there's anything else I can do for Mr. Hinkle except maybe pave his road, which I happen to live on as well. I can't make promises yet, but I'm working on it. It's next priority for the city. So maybe we'll put up an honorary plaque for Mr. Hinkle on that road once we finally pave it. If any of you are unaware where we live on the same street. We live by the old Summy Dairy. I'm sure a lot of you have fond memories of that street. And unfortunately, it's a dead-end street. It's kind of fallen apart over the years. So anyway, what I will do is leave you with a few words. I teach here at Mount Healthy as well. Jason and I started the same year, actually. And I do want to say something. We're in an odd era of education. I know Mr. Harness is here. I'm not sure if any other school board members are here. There we go. Ms. Jones is there as well. We're in an odd era where teachers typically only last in the district for about 5 years. And lately in this school district, in about the past decade, we can only keep administrators a year or two. And it's very difficult. But there's a few things that have stuck with this district and in education. There are a few people who are committed to their communities and stick around. And currently we have Miss Miller, currently we have Miss Brown, we have Mr. McElroy himself. We have a whole crew of teachers that are core to this district and serve as role models. And all of us have Mr. Hinkle to look up to. To be in the district and still serving that district for 58 years is unbelievable in this era. So please give him another round of applause. New alums, stand up real quick. The ones that just graduated this year. There's the reason we all do this, and I challenge you now, be the next Mr. Hinkle. Be the next Mr. Hinkle. Stick around, be at Mount Healthy for 58 years, because this alumni band is as important to Mount Healthy, the city and school district, as the dairy bar, as the library, and as any of the institutions that we all grew up with, Little Dutch Bakery, etc. You're laughing, but I'm serious. This is the core of our community. So you all are the future. Please stick around. Take the lead after Mr. Hinkle and after Mr. McElroy. And I want to come when you all are here talking about 30 years ago and 40 years ago and 50 years ago. So again, thank you, Mr. Hinkle. We'll get that rotated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wolf. Good one. You know, so the band, after all this praise and whatnot that Mr. Hinkle certainly deserves, we wanted to do something special for him. So, Patty, would you come on up just to kind of help me with this? You know, we thought about, you know, we have so many people in this band. We make a video about kind of a testimonial thing about how Mr. Hinkle's affected our lives, you know. So we thought we'd try to do that, but did that already. So we thought we'd we'll make another video about his life in music. Did that already. As Jamie said, let's name the auditorium after him. Did that already. Well, Patty and I formed a little ad hoc committee to try to figure out what can we do that's unique for this guy that he's going to really appreciate, that he could just kind of have fun with. We were struggling, and so Patty called his wife and said, she has all the answers. What can we do for this guy that hasn't already been done? And so Laurel said, well, he really likes ice cream. I can see he does. So, in that spirit, we came up with a very unique solution to something he's going to remember for the rest of his life. And so Patty, for the band, is going to present that to Mr. Hinkle now.
Yes, we wanted something that would last forever. I mean, a regular ice cream scoop, you know, just throw those things away, those plastic things away. We wanted to give him something that he would remember and always treasure. So like Craig said, you know, he's done everything, he has everything, but we thought he doesn't have this. We bought him a solid brass, in honor of the brass section, solid brass ice cream scoop. It's engraved. James Wolfe Jewelers put 40th Alumni Band Concert on his scoop. So you use this every time you have ice cream. Be careful with it. That was all we had.
And think of us.
And we also gave him a gift certificate for ice cream. He needs a gift certificate to get ice cream so he can use his scoop. So here you go.
And to commemorate this day, Mr. Hinkle wanted to give you an autographed copy of a special picture.
This is way too complicated.
It's a picture of Mr. Hinkle that I took during the concert last year at the Alumni Band.
And so we've now, the people that were here at the practices Friday or Saturday, we got the autograph for him. So just a little memento, and we thank you for what you've done all these years.
Hello, my name is Kennedy Frank Smith, class of 1975.
I'm trying to figure out a diplomatic way to resolve this. We are going to play March next for you, and it's called The Diplomat, and written by John Philip Sousa, another Sousa March, which we do one every year, it seems, and this year is no different. John Milton Hay was the Secretary of State in 1904. You probably knew that. Bayless taught us that too, I think, actually. But anyway, it was written in his honor for some particular reason. I'm not quite sure what, but of course, John Philip Sousa. And a march that's hung around and still being played. As a matter of fact, it's going to be played right now. Our conductor for this is Sarah Shamblin. Sarah is a 2006 graduate of Mount Healthy High School. And where'd you go to school? Northern Kentucky University graduate. She likes it in Kentucky. She started her teaching career 4 years ago at Holmes High School, Russ's alma mater. And this year has just completed her first year at Dixie High School in Northern Kentucky as well, the home of the Colonels, am I right? Yeah, the Colonels, yeah. So we're really thankful that Sarah still comes back and is able to play with us. She's a great clarinetist and a fine, fine conductor. And will you welcome her to the podium, please, to conduct The Diplomat.
Smith, class 1975. Reaching these milestones, like our 40th anniversary, is wonderful and a testimony to the good teaching of us and others. But the sad side of this is the list of those who have already passed away gets longer and longer. All of us who have shared the band experience are the better for it. The discipline, collaboration, and camaraderie of playing in an ensemble builds character and good citizenship. So, as I read this list, let us pay our respects and be proud, knowing they made a positive contribution to society. Please remember Nancy Albright, Mike Eisner, Ken Bovinger, Beverly Browse, Donald Byard, Susan Cook, Margaret Cook, Lydia Dershomer-Rockland, Michelin Fishboat, Marilyn Fishboat, Nancy Fine-Wiggins, James Gerard, James Graybill, Bruce Gudenkauf, Mark Hammond, Daryl Hinson, Steve Hinson, Nancy Jackson Maloney, Raylene Jasper Guthrie, Mary Maddox, Don Linus, Carl Weil, Vicki McQuarrie Young, Scott Morris, Debbie Oldendink Minkhouse, Ken Rogers, Bud Scholl, Sid Schwab, Eileen Shale, Teresa Sturworth, Joe Watson, Selma Wertz Dudley, Brad Witzker, Aralee Wynn, Scott Riston, William Shively, Richard Fuller, Debbie Mason Odell, Bonnie Abernathy Kirkins, Dave Edsel, Doug Cooley, Tom Stone, Bob Redding, Jim Porter, Gerald Pottinger, Ken Brooks, Myra Wipers, Thelma Emmons Fry, Warren Ike, David Woods, Mary Jean Malonka Strine, Mike Frederick, Ken Hensler, and my dear friend and classmate, Wynn Baldock. Please hold your applause as we play Father, Strong to Thee, Strong to Save.
If you are an alumnus of Mount Healthy High School, please stand for the alma mater.
turn to talk now, folks. It's so good to see you all. It's wonderful to see my family on the stage. What work it goes into putting a 40th anniversary on and the people involved, I'd like to mention a few of those wonderful names. A few weeks ago, I've always run the labels of the 800 alumni on my computer. Well, my computer went out. So I got a new computer and it wouldn't work with the printer. So I had to ask Fred Rouse to come over and help me. He's our resident computer expert. And he spent 2 hours at my house and ran off the labels. And the next day, thanks to my wife and I, we put the labels on the envelopes. And then that night, we had wonderful volunteers showed up to stuff the envelopes and get them ready to mail. And those people, Patty Harness, Tim Winings, Ken Handley, Carol Handley, we're very grateful for those folks, and Laurel Hinkle also. Those folks that spent the time, and it all cost me half a gallon of ice cream.
Yeah, that's $1,700 for a new computer.
And when I listen to this band play, I think, boy, the band director of the high school gets a lot of credit, but let me tell you where the credit goes, folks. It goes to those junior high band directors and those elementary band directors that start these folks. We're so lucky at being music teachers. We work with our kids from 5 through 12, and an elementary teacher gets a class this year, a different class next year, and we get really involved with these folks. That's why I think it's really my family. And we had some wonderful, wonderful junior high band directors here. We start with Richard Westridge, we had Roger Reese, we had Bob Fote, we had Bob Gray, and we had Paul Aronoff, Diane Grining, and Bill Bushman, and Charles Lederer. These folks made the band what it is today. And a few weeks ago, I had somebody ask me, what was your greatest thing that you did with the band? And I think, gosh, I started thinking, we had, our band has played in 8 states. And in those 8 states, we played for homecoming parade for 3 major universities. We played a bunch of halftime shows for a couple of colleges that didn't have marching band. And we played for the World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee. We played for the Greater Eastern Music Festival in Pittsburgh, and we played for the Indianapolis 500 parade. But when I think of those things, those were really great things for us to do. But the best is yet to come. We did 6 international trips, which is just unheard of with high school bands, I think. And when I thought of these trips, they're going to be musical, but I want them to be educational. And so when I look back on those trips that we took, the band had been to 2 of the great museums in the world. They had been to gorgeous, gorgeous churches that are hundreds of years old, and you look at these magnificent churches and wonder, how in the world did they build these churches without the proper equipment that we have today? All it's handwork. It's just amazing how they did all of this. And when I think of the educational aspects of this, the band got to see all of this stuff, all of these beautiful buildings. They were in the second largest building in the world, which is in Bucharest, Romania. They were at the stud farm for the Lipizzaner horses, and we got to take in a show with the Lipizzaners. And you probably don't know it, but when a Lipizzaner horse is young, it's dark, it's black. But when they get like they're performing, they're all white. And what a show that is to see the Lipizzaner studies at the Spanish riding school. So we did a lot of great things. And I was thinking today, and I looked it up on the computer just to think, this band years ago was in a concentration camp just outside of Munich. And boy, that Dachau concentration camp. And in the course of the World War II, over 100,000 people were killed in that camp. So that really makes you think of how good we have it, this country. I'd like to thank Jason. I came here Friday night. Jason was already bringing the chairs and stands in here. And I'm glad to say that the music department here is in very good hands. After the concert, we mailed out the letters, and the next week I started getting mail from alumni, donations of money, and it's close to $1,000 we've received already. Now we're going to have two lovely ladies at the back door when you go out. If you'd like to help us with the Alumni Band Fund, I'd certainly appreciate it. This year we were able to buy some new instruments for the band, a little over $2,000. And we should make it our point with our Alumni Band Fund to help the instrumental program at Mount Healthy as best we can. And now I'd like to get my favorite thing that the band has done all these years, the thing that touches my heart the most, was we were the first high school band in Communist China. And when we played the national anthem at that concert, I had tears running down my face. In Beijing, China, we played the national anthem, and we were so proud to do that. And generally, at every concert that we've ever played, we've always finished the concert with the great march, Stars and Stripes Forever. We're going to do that for you now. And after this, we've got a surprise for you. And you're going to have to help us.
Before we end the show with Stars and Stripes and our special surprise, I want to call Patty Harness up on stage and Jason McElroy up on stage, please. This is your life.
Okay, every year we do, every year we have an ice cream social. And we are able to do that because we have a wonderful Band Boosters program. In fact, many, many years ago, when the Band Boosters were just starting, other school districts asked about how did you do that? How did you do that? Because they looked at our system and how it worked, and they were just so just thrilled with it and thinking like, what? How can we do this? So can you show us how? So that's what happened. Many, many people gave their advice, and they now have wonderful Band Booster programs. And because of the Band Booster program, we have our president here today. She's not only on the school board, but she is also the president of the Band Boosters. And Lori Jones, I know you're going to be serving ice cream today. She's probably not going to want any ice cream after this, but we did get her a gift certificate for ice cream. So, you're available, Lori? Are you here? Yeah. Okay, come up and get your gift certificate. Thank you, Lori, for all your work. Thank you. Now, every year, as Mr. Hinkle said, we do give a scholarship. And this year is no different. We're giving a scholarship to a wonderful young man who's with us today. He plays trumpet. He was field commander for the high school band for, I think, 2 seasons. He's going to be studying music at Alabama State. So, CJ, Paul, you get the scholarship. Would you come up and get the scholarship?
Thank you. I don't want to take any more of your time, but I do want to say a special thank you to all the alumni and to you guys for participating in the Alumni Band Fund with the Ice Cream Social right afterwards. And part of that is we provide a scholarship for one of our seniors, and the Band Boosters also sponsors a couple of scholarships. I want to recognize those winners. So Daniel Hall was the recipient, if you want to stand and be recognized. And also Elisa Abrams.